Where are we with this?
I don't know. I'm just sitting back observing the conversation, you know, but I do think...
Well, you're in the conversation. What do you mean?
I'm not a woman. I'm not...
You're in this conversation.
There are just too many fails in this video. Before we dive into this, I'm just going to go ahead and say it right now. We're going to be talking about a few things in this video. Number one, we're going to be talking about certain mentalities. That right there being the mentality that you can't succeed when obviously you can succeed. We're going to be talking about the marketability of black athletes. And of course, there's also going to be a segment towards the end of this video where we're actually going to be kind of visiting the gun debate for a quick second because of the lack of overall knowledge. And I believe that that lack of overall knowledge comes from that mindset of, I can't get by unless I'm of a certain type, meaning certain race. So make sure you guys stick around for the full piece. Also, something else to kind of prove the point of how it is, of the things I'm about to say. I'm going to be posting 2 more videos than normal today. Yes, the algorithm is beating me up. So make sure you guys please go ahead and hit that like button before we get started. It really helps the channel out. It's free. It doesn't cost you a dime. Just put your thumb up there. Just please hit the like button. And that right there, of course, will send a signal to YouTube that this video and this content is liked. It's part of the reason why it is that YouTube's not notifying you guys of my videos. But before we actually dive into this video, make sure you guys do that. And now let's go ahead and begin. If there is something that I cannot stand, it's the mindset of I'm not good enough or I can't succeed. Now, let me go ahead and say this before I get started. Your ability to adapt to situations, your ability to adapt to life says a lot about you, the person. And of course, we're for the most part talking about Charlemagne the God and his fell on the Caitlin Clark situation. But it's not just Caitlin Clark that he actually failed on. It's also the gun topic he failed on, because there's a little segment in this video is going to be coming up right there at the very end involving Anna Navarro, the person who claims that she's a Republican, even though she's very, very much a liberal. And of course, to go on top of this, there's also the segment where he talks about basically you have to be of a certain type in this country to succeed. Basically, he's trying to say is that you have to be white to succeed, when that's not exactly the case. But I can already hear somebody in the background say, you clearly have never been around people of color, or you clearly have never been around people who are poor. And I want to tell you right now that I actually come up as one of those poor white boys. And also to go on top of that, not only being a poor white boy, I've also been around a lot of people who, quite frankly, aren't white, who have been poor at some point in time. So spare me the BS before you come in here and start running your mouth about how it is that you've got to be of a certain type to advance in this country. The point is this right here. You need to continue to push through. You need to learn to adapt to the situation. Of course, that's the mindset that we're talking about. Now, you saw the thumbnail. You saw not only the thumbnail, but the title. You thought to yourself, okay, so where did Charlemagne the God fell out when it came to the topic of Caitlin Clark and black people not being marketable? Well, it's a fail in many ways because, quite frankly, if you actually look at sports, if you look at the landscape, all the way back since the 1960s, it, for the most part, has been what? Not very white. I'm not complaining at all. I actually love the fact that obviously we have so many great athletes. Let me say this before we get started. How many black millionaires has this country produced? No country has produced more. No country has produced more black millionaires than the United States of America. So yes, black people are in fact marketable.
It's a problem that this young woman, there's so many examples where, I mean, black people are very marketable.
Well, ask yourself
and
this.
She seems to have been indoctrinated into this. They don't see it as marketable, so it doesn't matter how hard I work.
Well,
I don't think that's accurate or...
Okay, so Charlemagne the God, he goes on Bill Maher this past weekend. And of course, I probably should have done this video and put it out on Monday, but still at the same time, though, obviously, I wanted to do this video on Wednesday because the main reason why this video is out here is to explain the mindset. And of course, also not just the mindset, but to kind of motivate people to get out of their shell so that way they will understand that you do have some form of worth, you do have some form of value. And of course, you should always strive to achieve said worth and value. Charlemagne the God, in my opinion, is one of the worst when it comes to actually messaging and getting messages out to young black youth, because obviously young black youth were primarily his audience. There's even been a point in time where his audience has turned on him recently, but of course that came when it came to the topic of Trump's conviction. That's a different topic altogether, and many other people have already covered that particular topic. And of course, to go on top of that, many people have also broken out exactly what was going on there. I have never been a fan of Charlemagne because of the mindset that he tries to instill in those who actually listen to him. Basically, what he's trying to say is that you will never succeed. You are in America. This is a white man's place. even though, as I mentioned before, this country has produced more black millionaires than any other country on earth. I advise you guys go check out the documentary that's on Netflix right now that talks about Ben Carson. The guy is a neurosurgeon, could possibly be VP. And the point is this right here. It does not matter what your race is. You are of some worth. You are of some value. And quite frankly, you should always strive to be your very, very best regardless of the situation. So what does he do when he goes on Bill Maher? Well, he brings up the topic of Asia Wilson. Asia Wilson, by the way, she is in the WNBA, and of course, she recently had some comments that were pretty critical of Caitlin Clark. Now, Caitlin Clark is somebody who has been discussed a lot here on this platform. I even did 2 videos yesterday explaining how it is that she's not going to be able to save the WNBA, and then I did a follow-up video later on explaining all the jealousy in the WNBA of her. The girl is a cash cow, and obviously the WNBA is going out of their way to ruin this. And of course, part of the way they ruin this is by going ahead and going along with the whole racial narrative that, of course, if this person right here was, was black, she'd be getting treated differently. Or if I was white, then I would be getting treated differently. That type of stuff there, when obviously that's not the case. So what does he do? He goes on Bill Maher's show. Now, me, if you've been subscribed to this content from the very start, you would know that I am no fan of Bill Maher, and I'm normally very, very critical of Bill Maher. But you got to give the man credit in the cases that he's actually correct. I mean, even a broken clock can be right twice a day. And of course, when he goes up there, this happens.
When people come into the league and they're like the biggest thing in college, isn't that a big deal?
No, because Asia Wilson was the biggest thing when she came out of South Carolina. That's where I'm from. So she was one of the biggest things when she came out of South Carolina, #1 draft pick. And she didn't get all of that. So what do you attribute that to?
I mean, you're saying that's racism.
No, I'm not saying it's racist. I'm just saying that I think Asia Wilson has a point. And I think sometimes when, black women say certain things, we should listen, and especially her, because I'm not in her shoes.
I don't know. But why was Serena Williams such a big star? Because people like that. They didn't not watch her because she was black, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So where are we with this?
I don't know. I'm just sitting back observing the conversation, but I do think.
Well, you're in the conversation. What do you mean?
I'm not a woman.
You're in this conversation.
I'll talk about the black woman portion here in a second, but bear with me. As you guys can obviously see there, outside the whole race narrative, these people don't really have anything. Now, I'm not going to sit here and ponder why Asia Wilson feels the way she does, but here's what I will say, and I will actually agree with Bill on this one. And of course, you guys obviously saw at the very end that this is not exactly one of Charlemagne the God's strong suits. The ability to think is not exactly something that he has. Here's what I mean by the inability to think. So what Bill said about Serena Williams earlier. Yes, Serena Williams was very popular. Yes, Serena Williams took off. By the way, Serena Williams is not the only black athlete to take off. Tiger Woods took off. Oh, who else? Michael Jordan took off. I remember when Michael Jordan was in the NBA, the league was full of stars. You had like Alonzo Mourning, you had Patrick Ewing, David Robinson. The list goes on and on and on. Karl Malone, even though John Stockton is obviously white, he was definitely a star. Scottie Pippen was a star. Dennis Rodman. I mean, going into the early 2000s, the same thing happened. Even today with LeBron James, who's like getting old, we still have it. I've got a lot of disagreements with LeBron, but still, though, I will never, ever, ever take away his ability to play basketball. But you've got AD, you've got Kyrie Irving, you're bringing in a lot more stars. It seems to me like maybe the fear is that these people think that, I don't know, maybe the league is being taken over by people who aren't white. Maybe that is the reason why. When you actually look at this, the league is still, for the most part, black. But the whole notion about because she's a black woman, we need to listen to you. There are a lot of very, very, very well-educated black women out there in the world that I do think are worth listening to. I don't think Asia Wilson is one of them. That's basically what the point of this entire situation is that outside the whole race narrative, you can't really give us anything else. It's like the ability to critically think or think on your feet is just not there. But of course, it goes back to that mindset, and that mindset is that I quite frankly can't do any better. I quite frankly suck, or man, I can't get by in this world because everything is against me, when in reality, everything is actually very, very much in your favor. But of course, this conversation does get a little bit deeper.
Controversial things he said to the graduating class that you have to be 10 times as good to get a fair shot in America. And can I read what Glenn Lowry and John McWhorter, you listen to their podcast, I think they're great, said about this. Lowry said, I thought it was the kind of speech you'd have given in 1974, maybe 1984, but not in 1924. McWhorter, For goodness sake, can we please admit the time passes? I remember my mother saying that in the 70s when it still made sense. It's simply not true anymore, and we should celebrate that. You agree with that?
I don't know if it's 10 times better, but maybe 5.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah.
You think you have to be 5 times?
Yeah, when you black in America, absolutely.
In 2024?
Yeah, when you're black in America, when you're a woman in America, if you're a black woman in America, absolutely.
I think that's a zombie lie.
Why?
Because I just don't think that's American.
No nation has produced more black wealth than the United States of America. No country has ever produced more. You've got so many black doctors in this country that are successful. You've got so many black lawyers who are successful in this country. You've got so many black celebrities in this country that are successful. Now, by the way, that rather could also be a bit of a problem too, because maybe black youths are saying, I have to play basketball to get by in this nation, or I have to become a rapper. Of course, there's a lot of wealth there, but still at the same time, though, that's not exactly the case. Go to what I just said. The country still produces black doctors. It still produces black businessmen. It still produces a lot of success in the black community. And I think of this mindset that people like Bill was just mentioning, how it is that you have to be 10 times better is not exactly the best message to send. I think that the best message to send is that you should never, ever, ever give up, and you should always strive to be your best. But when you say that you have to be 10 times better because of the color of your skin, it's not exactly the mindset that you're setting. If anything, you've gone from setting the bar extremely low to setting it extremely high, when in reality what you need to do is you need to be realistic with the person in front of you, but also at the exact same time being encouraging. The types of messages that Charlemagne sent out there basically tell black youths that you are of no value and that you are of no importance here in the United States of America, and therefore you will never succeed. And if somebody is telling that you will never succeed, then eventually guess what's going to happen? Eventually you're going to believe that and you're not going to succeed. There are some cases where people will listen to that and they'll get motivated and then they'll go out there and succeed. Oftentimes they succeed in the wrong area and the wrong way, and oftentimes it leads to people being in handcuffs. I'm just simply saying that a lot of the problems that we're seeing today is coming from the attitude of those quote unquote black influencers. But then again, at the same time, because I'm talking about Charlemagne the God, somebody of course will come in here and say that I am racist. But then again, at the same time, though, that right there is kind of sort of to be expected this day and age, especially with that word just flying around at the point to where it absolutely has no meaning. I'm just saying. But this mindset also leads to an overall lack of knowledge. It leads to an overall lack of, let's just say, it leads to a lack of motivation to actually go and look into something. You see, we have cell phones nowadays, and these cell phones have got internet access, and all you have to do is just simply go on the internet and look up something and see whether it is true or not. You'll have several links. Now, before we talk about this, of course, I got to switch gears to end this video. Recently, the Supreme Court handed down a ruling saying that the Trump-era bump stock ban, which, by the way, I was very, very much against because I am pro-Second Amendment, that bump stock ban has been overturned, which, by the way, I also felt that that ban would get overturned because, in reality, it wasn't going to hold up. It actually had already gotten struck down by a lower court. More than likely, if it gets struck down by a lower court, that's an indication that there's probably something bigger on the way. Supreme Court got a hold of it, and they overturned it. By the way, before somebody says it's Trump's Supreme Court, that's true. Trump did put 3 of these justices up here. But didn't Trump sign the bump stock ban? Which, by the way, the liberals were, how do I say, they were happy about, but now they're unhappy about, and now they're blaming Trump for it. And like I said, it's just the confusion, the mindset that these people set, when in reality what Trump was doing was he was trying to placate a certain side of the aisle, make it like he was actually doing something. When, of course, they go on top of this, I think the best thing he could have done when it came to school shootings was just simply say, hey, look, we need to have a law established where we can actually help train people, volunteer people to actually go out there and harden the schools and protect them, so that way nobody's Second Amendment rights are being violated. And while I may not be an actual fan of bump stocks, it does not mean that I don't think people should not have them, because at the end of the day, really the only thing it's for is for fun. But let's go ahead and look at this.
Reason why anyone would need a gun to fire that many rounds. I mean,
A mass shooting.
well, but that you can't really give that reason. I'm just saying, what is
That's the reason.
What is the right? We really need these bump stocks because, I don't know, my house is being attacked by the North Korean army.
Yeah.
I need to shoot 1,000 of something when I go out hunting. I don't understand where you even get that rationale.
It would be something involving some type of fear. I don't know what the fear would be, but it would be something involving this person is afraid of something.
Zombies.
Zombies, okay.
2 things. Number one, did you just say you can't put that down on a form? That, by the way, comes back up. You see, one of the main lies that you hear in the mainstream media is that you can buy a gun without a background check. That's not true. I used to sell guns. The truth is this right here. When you go in to go buy a gun, when you want one, before they actually allow you to even begin the purchasing process, you get a form. It's called the FFL form. You got to fill that form out. And of course, you can't lie on that form. I mean, Hunter Biden just got convicted for lying on an FFL form. The FFL form is filled out. It then is called in, or you type in the information and it goes to the computer. And of course, from there, it goes to the NICS, which is a division of the ATF. And of course, they do a background check. Sometimes that background check may take 10 minutes. Sometimes it may take 45. Sometimes it may take hours. In some cases, it's even delayed. And because of the information that's there, it takes days. Take it from a guy who's actually sold weapons. So it seems to me like you may have just kind of given away the game when you said, what would you write down on the form when it comes to getting a bump stock? And the whole mindset, you see, the mindset of not being able to succeed, the mindset of I'm never going to make it, kind of leads to this. It kind of leads to this laziness where people don't think, or people don't do any research, or just look into stuff. It kind of leads to that. It's basically blackpilling somebody, making them think that there's no hope, which ironically, Charlemagne the God actually does to his audience every time he opens his mouth. By the way, a bump stock is an accessory. And when you then hear Charlemagne say fear is the only reason why somebody might want it, or it could be the possibility that somebody may have a AR-15 and maybe they want to go in their backyard and maybe they just want to plink some targets. Maybe that's what they want to do. By the way, mass shootings, of course, if it hasn't already come up, I'm pretty sure it's going to come up again. The number one weapon that's actually used for mass shootings, and this was by way of Pew Research, was not an AR-15. It was actually handguns. 9mm, Berettas, Glocks, the handguns is primarily what's used because there's mass shootings all the time that occur in cities like, say, Chicago, St. Louis, all those type of places there in New York. By the way, they will tell you that gun violence is higher in red states, but they'll leave something out when they say that. The truth be told is the gun violence is high in big cities within red states, which, by the way, are normally blue. Not too many big cities over a population of, say, 300,000 people. Not too many of them have Republican mayors or city councils. Matter of fact, barely any of them do. I'm just simply saying, but let's watch this next part.
Does Hillary Clinton...
Wouldn't it be nice if that was a question on the form?
What?
In addition to asking if you're on drugs while you're buying the gun, why are you buying this gun that can shoot this many people
in
such a short time?
Okay, two things one more time. The gun does not shoot anybody. The person shoots somebody. By the way, Anna Navarro just kind of proved that when she said, why would you put that on the form, or why would you not put that on the form? Basically, like I said before, you got to fill out an FFL form to get the firearm, and then the only way the firearm works is if you, the person who filled out the FFL form, actually picks up the firearm and actually uses it. You can always find the contradiction in these people's language if you just pay very, very close attention. If I haven't already said it over the course of this video, it's the state of mind. The state of mind is what the hell is the most important thing right now in the world. You could be in the worst economy, the worst situation ever, and if you just simply worked it out in your mind, that quite frankly, you can do better and actually work and try to strive towards said goal, you would be amazed exactly at what happens to you and exactly how successful you can become. Basically, the whole mainstream media narrative, and whether Charlemagne knows it or not, he's actually being used as one of those useful idiots that the mainstream loves to use because, quite frankly, they need people like Charlemagne to get the propaganda and the message out. He doesn't seem to realize that he himself is a useful idiot and a tool for these people to use to actually blackpill black people, not just black people, but young people as a whole. I'm going to go ahead and say this. If I have not said it before, this way is a no black pill zone. I try to tell you the truth. I try to be 100% honest with you. I try to give you the facts. I try to give you exactly what the hell is happening. And I hope from there you guys take it and interpret it the right way. But please, by no means, don't ever get black pilled, because when you get black pilled and you feel like you're all alone, that right there is the purpose of the current mainstream, is to make you feel that way. Which is also kind of odd given the fact that MSDNC and CNN and Level Media, and don't forget, I'm also talking about Fox News because they do it too. It's kind of odd how it is that some of these places paint a much, much rosier picture to their audience than what the hell really and truly is. It's almost like you're lying to them with white pills that are not existent, which are really just blue pills, and black pilling them at the exact same time. Kind of gives new new meaning to the phrase black and blue. Just saying. Sometimes it can be hard. I'll be the first one to admit it because I've gotten it wrong before. I'm pretty sure I've gotten it wrong in one of the many videos that I've released here on YouTube. But still at the same time, though, this is what this mindset leads to. I don't think Anna Navarro is helping out. If it were me, honestly, to tell you the truth, if I was a young black male, I would try to maybe choose a different influence. Maybe someone like, say, King Randall. There's Greg Foreman. He does a very good job. Brandon Tatum does a good job. There are a lot more other people on the platform. And I'm not big-time fans of all these people, but they're definitely a lot better than Charlemagne the God. And by God, don't go to Roland Martin because the only thing he's going to do is tell you that you earned a handout and you should just get that at the age of 21. That's kind of how some of the mindset is. The mindset of we're never going to be any better or anything like that. That right there is what's really and truly keeping things, especially black people, keeping a lot of people down right now in America, not the white man, just simply saying. But you guys tell me what you think in the comment section. Please hit the like button, subscribe, share the video, sign off in the comment section, and I'll see you guys later.